So I guess the long and short of why our products are priced the way they are, makes them a little expensive, is because I'm personally driven to expanding my shoe collection. And it's important to me, and that's really all that counts, right, for each of us. We just need to do what's important, no matter what. Like, what's important to us, not like anybody else. We just need to do what's important to us. And yeah, I obviously need money to do that. So that's where the money goes. Okay, thanks for checking in. I'm Emma, I'm the owner and founder of Zimt, and today I'm talking to you about why Zimt is priced the way it is. I used to get a lot of questions back in the day when I did loads of demos about, why Zimt is so expensive. It wasn't really usually phrased as a question. It was more like accusatory and like shocking. It was more of like a remark. It was more of like a remark of disgust. So, once I gave someone the sample and they tried it and they're like, oh, this is really good. How much are they? And I'd be like, oh, $5. And they would just be like, $5 for a chocolate bar? I bought 27 Kit Kats for $3. Okay, well, what do you do? And the reason why our prices are the way they are, so first of all, for any good that is manufactured, I won't get into services because that's kind of like a totally subjective, different ball game to a degree, and I'm just not in that realm, so I won't comment on that too much. But for any good that is manufactured, okay, like any physical, like tangible, like item, there are costs to be covered, right? It's like all through the supply chain. People got to get paid. You got to be able to pay for, you got to cover your overhead, right? That's one component. And to be perfectly honest, Zimt's overhead should be more, right? Our cost of goods, like our direct cost of goods sold, COGS, those are totally covered, and that's good, as is a lot of the overhead, so that's also excellent. But in terms of the cost of goods sold, what I was realizing and thinking about and reflecting on for our cost of goods sold are two components, okay, that dictate those costs. So it's really, a lot of it's dictated by volume and pricing breaks for our raw materials, volume in terms of manufacturing efficiencies, and the other component is externalities. So actually trying to limit externalities. So first about volume, we are still a very small scale manufacturer. We do have professional small scale industrial equipment, right? Not perfect equipment. It's pretty challenging to deal with most often. In fact, I would say that all of last year and a good chunk of this year so far has been just fixing equipment, upgrading equipment, learning about equipment, just trying to keep it from having a total spaz all the time equipment. So trying to basically make things run a little bit smoother, and to be able to push out volume in a more efficient, less painful manner, okay? So increasing or improving economies of scale helps manufacturers to do that. So that can either be with reducing labor costs through making production processes more efficient, right? So let's say instead of needing 5 hours to make 100 chocolate bars, we only need 4 hours to make 100 chocolate bars. So that's 1 hour less of labor costs to make the same volume of chocolate bars. So then they become a little bit cheaper for us, okay? The other, another example for that would be, say, our packaging, right? Our packaging is extremely aesthetically pleasing. And let's say instead of ordering 30,000 of those little envelopes with the pretty illustrations on them, let's say instead of ordering 30,000 of those at a time, we needed to order 1,000,000 at a time, okay? And the thing about that is the setup cost for producing 30,000 of those units, right? Like getting the machines ready, like fitting it into the production, well, fitting it into the production schedule will be a little bit different because obviously it takes more time to produce 1,000,000 of something than to produce 30,000 of something, given the same setup timing, roughly, and like tear down, right? So, where was I going with that? Yeah, so if we have 1,000,000 packages as opposed to 30,000 packages, the setup costs for those 30,000 packages would be roughly the same as for 1,000,000 of those packages. But the difference is the cost incurred per unit for those setup costs would be distributed evenly across 1,000,000 packages as opposed to 30,000 packages, okay? So I'm not going to go into more of a math example with that because I would need to write that down, and I'm making a video right now. I'm not writing things down. So that explains the economies of scale a little bit. So you know, over time have been able to improve those. It definitely hasn't been smooth sailing the whole way through, that's for sure. The tricky thing about working with physical product in addition to people is that there are definitely inconsistencies in terms of costing, okay? So humans, wonderful humans, make Zimt stuff, right? And sometimes people move a little slower one day, right? Like there's still like general benchmarks you want to reach, but who knows, like maybe someone's having a really horrible day and they're just like slow at something, and then like our costs go up. We can't pass those costs on because, you know, then the cost would always be changing to, you know, whomever we're selling the stuff to, in order to make our margin from that sale. Sorry if that's confusing, but basically we can't be too nitpicky. We have to basically like really celebrate if things go efficiently, and we have to eat a bunch of costs if things go inefficiently. So like all of last year, like very inefficient. It's terrible, very expensive. Anyway, so we like our volume really dictates the cost of goods. Also, I choose to increase our cost of goods, right? Because it is important to me and to you, whether you realize it or not, that we reduce our negative externalities, okay? So what I mean by that is, so externalities are basically their spillover effects from the production or consumption of a good or service. But let's just think about goods for now. So here's a good example. Okay, so our packing tape, right? Our packing tape is made of biodegradable cellulose. As soon as I found out it was available, I was just like, okay, that's what we're using. It's much more expensive. It's really inconvenient to get, but that's fine because it's important because that is internalizing that externality. I am in a place of privilege such that even if it's not fun, even if it's not easy, like I'm able to take that on, okay? And I am able to reduce the negative externalities that would otherwise be faced by society, whether they realize it or not, from the increasing of demand for regular petroleum-based plastic tape, okay? So our packing tape, you guys don't see it, that's okay. It's important for my soul and for me and for everybody that we really reduce our consumption, and fortunately we've been able to basically eliminate our consumption of petroleum-based plastic tape and limit and actually completely eliminate the negative spillover effects of demanding more petroleum-based products. So now there's really no chance that if we were using petroleum-based tape, that could end up somewhere in the environment, harm wildlife, for example. So I'm happy that killing sea turtles is not in our future. That's pretty cool. So there's that. So we really try to limit those negative externalities. I am going to put a link in the description box about externalities. It's very interesting. I really enjoyed researching it. You can go read the blog post associated with that for a little refresher on your microeconomics, which I think would benefit all of us, really. So there's that. I am happy to say that, yeah, Zimt it's profitable. Like I said, we are covering our costs. Our overhead should be higher, okay? So it should be higher, and I'm working on making that so by increasing our margins so that we can cover a little bit more of that overhead that should be there. So the thing that I think people often forget is that we have a really skewed perception of the value of goods. So by that I mean we see a particular brand name, or we see pretty branding or some buzzwords, and even though those buzzwords may not be associated with a true increase in cost, we value them more because we value those buzzwords. So for example, we at Zimt use fair trade ingredients, okay? So yes, everything is vegan, like that totally goes without saying, but we also use fair trade ingredients because we don't want to support slave labor. Now the thing is that plant-based and vegan has really taken off in the market as of late. Like, people are super on board, which is fantastic. Like, hi, glad you can join us. Like, it's good stuff. It's good that more people are pumped on this sort of thing. But other causes for concern, like how vulnerable humans are being treated, okay, that hasn't really caught on as much. So the fair trade movement kind of lagging behind, okay? And I think that might be because fair trade is a lot less associated with one's personal health, and I know that a lot of folks choose a more plant-based lifestyle because, depending on how you do it, of course, it can be pretty darn healthy, and people are into that, and it's good to take care of oneself. But yeah, the fair trade thing has not caught on as much. So the point in spewing all this is people see the word vegan or plant-based on packaging, right? And a lot of producers know that they can charge more because these are buzzwords. This is what consumers want, right? So you can charge a premium for it. I'm not saying it's honest, but you can do it. The other thing is like, yeah, people probably just they just want to know what they're buying, and producers want to inform consumers and make it easy for them to buy what they want to buy. So that's, like, not everybody's out to get you is what I'm saying. So the point of that is, just because something like a product adheres to a particular buzzword, for example, vegan, doesn't mean that it should be more expensive, because the actual cost of the good might not be more expensive. So we could, for example, use non-fair trade cacao, right? Cool. If we did that, I would certainly not advertise on the packaging. Like, as a producer, as a manufacturer, I would not advertise on the packaging, oh, hey, like, we don't actually use fair trade cocoa, because I wouldn't want to draw your attention to that. Like, I would just be like, oh yeah, all we do is vegan, like it's great, and then everyone gets so excited about it, and that would be that. But just because we consumers don't recognize a cost associated with something doesn't mean that it's not there, right? Just because we don't value it personally doesn't mean it's not there. So I could, put vegan and use slave labor, cocoa or sugar or whatever. We could do that. It's terrible, so we won't. But we would just highlight the good stuff, and then your perception of the value of the good would be that it's high because it's touting a product attribute that you value. Okay, and our cost would be lower, so we would make more profit. But we don't do that because morally it's wrong in quite a few ways. It's not right. It totally defeats the purpose of what I'm trying to do here. So the thing is that your perception of the value of a good is often skewed because of branding, right? Which may include buzzwords that may or may not really be of value or indicate a higher product value, okay? So if companies are doing this, right, if they aren't covering the bases and keeping things ethical, and they're raking in tons of profits, like, I think that's dishonest. It's dishonest to you, the consumer, and they are not taking all of their negative externalities into account. So it's also irresponsible. Okay, so it's dishonest and irresponsible. And third, I'm judgmental, but I'm right. So I'm not saying that companies shouldn't make a profit. I'm just saying take into account the negative externalities, and that's what we try to do, and that's why things are a little bit more expensive in terms of our costs, which we don't totally pass on to you, right? Because the market will only bear so much. Again, like if companies do, really enjoy all that profit, I think that's fine. I think that there is a responsibility to put it towards making either a better product or service for you, the consumer, making strengthening the company in some way that is responsible. I see and hear of a lot of financial mismanagement, as I'm sure we all do. And on a personal note, we do donate the profits, not all the profits, of course, but some of the profits to organizations that really need it, right? I just think that there are different groups out there who need these profits more in a more dire way than we do, certainly more than I do, and I'm happy to do that. That's literally that's the whole point. We could be selling socks and the mission would still be the same thing. It's to use profits responsibly to help those organizations that are really doing the super hard work and deserve a hand. So that's it. Cut myself off. Thank you so much for listening to all this stuff. I hope it was interesting for you. Again, I'm leaving that blog post link in the description box. You can check it out. Let me know what you think. I'm curious as to your thoughts on this. It was quite a bit to unpack. So you're a trooper. You're a true trooper for sticking with me. Okay, and until next time. I need shoes that are made by Gucci, or that have the name Versace on them. I need very fancy shoes.